Oh, hey, remember when Cindy Crawford and Richard Gere eloped in Vegas? I do. It was 1988, Beetlejuice hit theaters, Roy Orbison passed away, a bunch of doves flew into the Olympic cauldron in Seoul, thus ending that tradition, and 22-year-old Cindy Crawford met 39-year-old Richard Gere at a backyard barbecue hosted by friend and photographer Herb Ritz. The pair started talking over burgers and decided to go on a date. And then they went on another date, and by 1990, Cindy was taking him home to meet her mother in DeKalb, Illinois. By the end of the trip, Richard had gotten along so well with Cindy's mom, Jennifer, that he was calling her mom, which she quickly shut down, reminding him that she was only 3 years older than him and not old enough to be his mother. In March of 1991, Cindy and Richard walked the red carpet together at the Oscars, with Cindy in that iconic Versace dress that she had custom made by Gianni himself. Yet still, Richard dragged his feet on committing to Cindy. But she knew what she wanted and told him as much. Richard said, "This woman who I was crazy about and loved very much said, I can't wait. I gotta move on if it ain't happening." Friends said that marriage for Richard was too normal, too suburban. That he didn't make decisions easily and didn't want to make a mistake. But on December 12th, it was clear that he knew Cindy was no mistake, and so he took the night off from filming Mr. Jones, grabbed Cindy and a few of their friends, and flew from LA to Las Vegas. There, the couple said "I do" at the Little Chapel of the West, sealing the deal with aluminium foil rings. It's also called aluminium if you're in America. Richard said, "It was the best decision I ever made." Cindy said that it wasn't the wedding that she had dreamed of, and that it was so last minute that she wore a blue Armani suit. That it was a nice Armani suit, but I didn't dream of getting married in a navy blue suit. In a full circle moment, Herb Ritz served as her bridesmaid. In 1993, the couple threw down a cool $5 million hairs on a Bel Air mansion, which would be around $11 million today. And while those that knew the couple personally said that there was love between the two, that they were kind and considerate of each other, that they amused each other, Maggie Wilde, longtime friend and business partner of Richard, even said that they would travel thousands of miles just to have one night together, the media feasted on the speculation that their marriage was a sham. That both Cindy and Richard were gay. Cindy was quoted as saying, "I don't get depressed that people constantly call me a lesbian and Richard gay. I find it amusing." She'll go on to tell British Elle, "Who cares? I've got the cleanest image in the world. It's good if there's a little dirt on me." Richard also gave no mind to the rumors, saying, "It's kids stuff, kids in a schoolyard." Considering Richard has an urban myth about him dating back to the 80s that involves a gerbil, it's no wonder he has learned to become deeply unbothered by such rumors. People were also deeply fascinated with the 17-year age difference between the two. When asked if it was love at first sight, Cindy said that it was interest at first sight. Cindy was only 14 when Richard appeared in American Gigolo, a film she wasn't even old enough to see. While Cindy was dating the captain of the football team, Richard was canoodling with the likes of Diane von Furstenberg. But as much as the two tried to devote time together, it would seem like their lives and ages were just too far apart, and on December 1st, 1994, the pair announced that they were separating. And while the two had spent the bulk of their marriage denying the rumors that their marriage was a lavender marriage, just a quick note, I constantly see this term frivolously thrown around on this app, so I would like to remind people that lavender marriages were historically used to help conceal the sexuality of either one or both parties in the marriage to protect them from the immense scrutiny of being gay. Throughout the 1930s and into the 50s, Hollywood deemed homosexuality as immoral, and in some cases, it was criminalized. And that is why lavender marriages existed. Months before announcing their separation, Cindy and Richard took out an ad asserting the solidity of their marriage. On May 6th, they took out an ad in the Times of London proclaiming that they were heterosexual and monogamous, and the reports of the divorce were totally false. And that was the first red flag in a sea of red flags. The couple had put their Bel Air mansion on the market, and it was reported that they had never actually spent a single night in it. They were allegedly relying on their secretaries to let them know what was going on in each other's lives. Some wondered if those secretaries were apprising them of the time that Richard had allegedly been spending with Uma Thurman, or the time that Cindy was allegedly spending with John Enos. A month after announcing their separation, Cindy was seen moving her clothes into the apartment of an old friend. And who was that friend? Randy Gerber. Cindy and Richard's divorce was finalized in 1995. Richard went on to date Carrie Lowell in 1996. They had their one and only fetal collab, Homer, in 2000 and were married 2 years later. They separated in 2013 and were officially divorced 3 years later. He began dating Alejandra Silva in 2014, and they were married in 2018. They had their first fetal collab, Alexander, in 2019, and their second collab, James, in 2020. Cindy had met Randy while she was still with Richard. Randy had been dating someone else at the time as well. The two struck up a friendship and started dating after she separated from Richard. Cindy and Randy were married in 1998 and welcomed their first collab, Presley, in 1999, and their second collab, Kaya, in 2001. Over the course of the last few decades, Cindy and Richard have been pretty private about their breakup, but in recent years, Cindy has been a bit more forthcoming, especially about the age gap. She has said, in the beginning of the relationship, when you're a young woman, you're like, you like baseball, I like baseball. Oh, you're really into Tibetan Buddhism? I might be into that. I'll try that. You're willing to kind of mold yourself around whoever you are in love with. She has also said, I just think your 20s for women is such a time when you're starting to come into your own and feel your own power and connect to your own inner strength. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to change in a relationship because of what that one person might have signed up for. All of a sudden, you're not that anymore. I think I was more willing at 22 to be like, okay, I'll follow. But then you start going, well, I don't want to just follow. I want to lead sometimes, and I want to walk side by side sometimes. It's almost like this entire time that we've been discussing age gaps and talking about why it's problematic for women in their early 20s to date men who are substantially older than them has nothing to do with them not being grown or not having autonomy, but everything to do with the fact that they lack the lived experience to understand what they're committing to and the inability to hold their own individuality and independence because of this lack of lived experience. It's almost like some of us have been young women in our 20s and have been in these situations and know how the story ends. Zany, isn't it? She has also acknowledged the power imbalance of the relationship with part of the problem in our relationship was that we were a lot of other things, but I don't know if we were ever friends. Like peers, because I was young and he was Richard Gere. Although she has credited him for showing her how to handle fame and how to establish boundaries, and that she learned a lot about the world while she was with him. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked this one. If you did, please save and share this video with your friends. It really does help spread the good word. And don't forget to follow me on the gram and the tube just in case. We also still have pins and stickers and bookmarks, but grab them before the end of May because Canada Post might be striking again, and who knows what's going to happen. Good day, and may the cult be with you.